Astrology friends and family from around the world. This is Lada from astrolada.com, and these are your July 2022 video horoscopes. To watch the extended version where I also talk about world events and all the rest of the 12 signs are together in one video, check out my main channel, Lada Duncheva. Or to watch the short version, you can watch it at my channel, new channel, Astrolada, where there is one video for each of the 12 signs, which is 7-8 minutes long. And by the way, before we start, I want to tell you that this is the last time this year that I'm offering my courses, astrology courses made by me at a promotional price of 25%. So grab the deal if you're interested in learn astrology with me. Now let's begin. Month starts pretty calm, easygoing, nothing too dramatic. The first 3 weeks, 3 days is quite nice. No big events. There is a full moon that is a bit more intense on the 13th of July in Capricorn with Pluto. And full moons are about completion, something coming to an end, or realizing something profoundly deep in our heart. And this full moon is about teaching us certain boundaries, realizing something about putting boundaries, especially to toxic energies or abusive energies, which is what Pluto is. So there might be escalation of some kind of a crisis around the 13th, maybe a week before, maybe 2 weeks after, because the energy of a full moon is active, not right on the day only, but some realization about something that has come to an end in your life and needs to be basically purged out of your system. This is what Pluto is, and released, and put boundaries, healthy boundaries and walls that we have to put in that place. So that's a little bit the more dramatic part, but it's not necessarily. For some of you, it can just mean the completion of a project. You see its results. They might be quite transformational. There might be some deep psychological realizations for others of you that impact your feelings strongly. And that's generally what this full moon is. But towards the end of the month is when it gets really interesting, because simultaneously we're going to have 3 events. One is that Jupiter is turning retrograde on July 29th, but it means that the whole month almost, Jupiter will be pretty much stationary, not moving, preparing to turn around. And that indicates that especially people ruled by Jupiter, like Pisces, like Gemini, like Pisces, like Sagittarius, can feel like a slowing down that's starting to happen in their life, and a redirection in a different, their beliefs are starting to change, their attitude is starting to change. But for everyone, you can feel it. You can watch after that in the breakdown how it's going to play out for each of the 12 signs. But redirection of your beliefs, plus when Jupiter turns retrograde on the 29th of July, it will be retrograde for 3-4 months after that. And there will be some old opportunities that are coming back to us. Something that we've started in the past, we haven't completed, or that we thought about, it was a good idea, but we never got around it. Now we'll have an opportunity to dive into it. Jupiter, so we'll see how it will affect each of the 12 signs separately. But the really big event is that the North Node, Uranus, and Mars are joining together in Taurus. There has not been such a conjunction in many years, decades probably. Uranus and the North Node meet once every 19 years or even more, I would say, or maybe a bit shorter, but together with Mars is very rare. And the interesting things with those 3 energies is that they all are about something new. Uranus rules new technologies, innovations. Mars rules innovations, breaking old patterns, and in a speedy way, fast way. Then Rahu magnifies everything. And Rahu is, again, new technology, something innovative, progressive. They're meeting in Taurus, which is the financial system, and they're starting a cycle that will be, I don't know, till the next time Uranus and Rahu meet in 18 years, or I'm not sure how long exactly. So this can indicate, or maybe short, I'm not sure, but this can indicate the start of a breakdown and the building of a new financial system, and you're seeing it's been building up to that with the inflation that's happening everywhere, which we've been warning about since 2020. And now it's gonna peak, and it's showing that maybe the inflation will be even further because Uranus can make prices jump very suddenly. Mars passed and Rahu inflates it even more. So something, there'll be the first beginnings possibly for the change of financial system around. And resources are some kind of crisis is happening with resources, with their prices, with their accessibility. It's been building up for the last few months. You can see some pivotal event can escalate then, but they also have a very, let's say, revolutionary energy. It's very explosive, Mars with Uranus. The collective, there might be protests or revolutions happening around the world. There can be escalations of some military actions that are happening, and especially based on resources, a lot of it because it's in the sign of Taurus. And so let's see, it's going to be interesting. Collectively always it's harder, but individually you see that there can be a lot of positive energy because something new can be birthed very quickly in your life, whether you want it or no. Well, collectively it can even indicate this explosive energy, some kind of shaking up of the earth. It's an earth sign in Taurus, or some kind of storms, or possible revolutions or more violent actions, something with explosions. Uranus is very explosive in nature. Maybe volcanoes, I don't know as well. So let's see what it is. But collectively, as I said, it's always the lowest common denominator. Well, personally, it can be used as a very fast track opportunity and breakthrough in certain area in your life, a certain sector. And simultaneously with all this, we have a new moon at the end of the month in Leo, which is very positive. Leo is the sign of new ideas. It's the most creative sign. It's where Leo is basically the constellation that all the master constellation of all the 12 constellations. So when there is a new moon there, but it's very positive, it's trine Jupiter. It's on the 28th of July. Some new ideas will be born collectively and individually for each one of us. Pay attention to them, for everyone, they'll be in different area of their life. For example, for Pisces, might be new idea for something to do with work and so on. But this new idea will be very auspicious and positive. Make sure you take advantage of it. So whatever new ideas, whenever new inspiration, Leo is very inspirational sign, something that makes you feel alive, excited towards the end of the month, comes together with the triple conjunction there of Uranus and Rahu and North Node. On one side, the Leo one will be extremely auspicious because of the trine aspect to Jupiter, while the Uranus, Mars, and Rahu one can be more shaky, can really disrupt the natural and the established flow of events personally and collectively. There we have to adapt very fast and be very flexible. Now let's start with the 12 signs. Aries, July 2022, we're using tropical zodiac for Aries, sun, moon, or ascendant. Don't forget that the whole month Jupiter continues to be in your sign, and no matter what else is happening in your life, Aries, this is a great support for you. No matter what other areas, like you'll see after that, certain areas will be a bit more tumultuous. I would say almost to the end of the summer, there is strong protection around you because Jupiter, the great benefic, is spreading its wing over you, watches over you. And Jupiter becomes extremely powerful in July because it's stationary. It kind of stops moving in the sky as if it's stuck in one place. And it's, let's say, it's just like when someone's sitting still in they have more heaviness rather than if something is moving fast. So there'll be a great focus, let's say, a great concentration of power into your sign, into our sign areas, especially the earlier born areas, those towards, that are around 9 degrees areas, that are late March, early April, they would feel a very powerful concentration of energy and switch in the mentality, because Jupiter rules the higher mind, the perspective, the higher mind that can see things from a bigger perspective. And when Jupiter is changing sign, is changing direction towards the end of the month on the 29th, but the whole month is stationary, you can notice a slowing down that's happening within you that allows you a wider breadth of vision, like a stilling of the mind almost that is happening. The stilling of the mind allows a download of information or of wisdom. Jupiter is the planet of wisdom, to kind of instill themselves, so to become in the more quietness and the stillness of your being, of your mind, because you are Aries, you know, you're ruled by Aries. This slowing down of the most benefic planet there slows down all the commotion around you. Even if things are happening around you, it's kind of like your perspective still stays more still, more wise, and you're able, possibly by the end of the month or the beginning of next year, next month, August, to have like a powerful insight into something, some problem that you've been dealing for a while, or some issue. And often issues and problems are caused, or they stay stuck in us, because we can't change our point of view about it, because we can't, we keep seeing it from the same perspective. But Jupiter changing direction towards the end of the month will allow you to change perspective as well, and maybe some kind of a eureka moment, revelation can happen for some of your areas. But it also indicates that some opportunity from the past, from the end of the month, will come back, will grab your fantasy, your attention, to be worked on again, something that you've thought about already, something that you started before but you haven't completed, something that needs you for the next 4 months almost, while Jupiter is retrograde, to really put some extra work on it, to see it, and Jupiter will give you the opportunity to see it from a higher perspective, different perspective than how you imagined this opportunity would be. So at the end, it will turn out somehow differently when Jupiter turns direct again towards the autumn. But just be prepared that you might be working extra and getting different perspective on something that already as an opportunity existed in your life. It might be like an old career opportunity, especially for Aries Sun that is coming, or career project, or something connected to opportunity with another more powerful person that brings it back to you, because the Sun in Aries, it symbolizes such people. If it's your moon in Aries, it can be connected to your emotional world, to your feelings, to your emotional bonds and relationships, or family life, that something is coming, personal life, or maybe going back to a place that you want to be in. Or if it's your ascendant, overall your whole life. So interesting, you know, especially powerful it will be for Aries born around 7, 8, 9, 10 degrees. You know, check out the degrees that you have. All right, then Aries, you're going to have on July the 13th. On July the 13th, there is a full moon in your 10th house with Pluto. Might be time to put boundaries with some powerful people. 10th house is authority figures, institutions, bosses, or father figures, especially if such a toxic. And maybe Capricorn is more like to, the energy of Capricorn is to prevent, to put boundaries, to say no. Or the 10th house is maybe the full moon is also to complete something, to bring it to an end in regards to your career, in regards to a work project. And to release it as well. But Pluto, because it's with Pluto, there might be some powerful, let's say, clashes with authority figures, with bosses, or with institutions that you might feel overwhelmed or overpowered by such. But Pluto asks you also to stand your ground and to be powerful yourself. So watch out from July 13th or a little bit after, for the next 2 weeks, for such developments to happen, and to have the ability to say no, which is what Capricorn is, to have the ability to be very more structured and organized. And you have a very strong emotional response pushing you in that direction, because it's a full moon, to remove toxic influences from your life, or toxic structures from your life, or structures that are dead and have outlived their life, whether it's from your career or from relationships with authority or parental figures. Or to complete some project as well, and to see the results of it. And towards the end of the month, there is a new moon in Leo in your 5th house, which Aries will probably enjoy a lot because it's trine Jupiter from your sign. So you're going to start feeling a lot excited towards that time, and new opportunities will appear like a creative project, and you have to grab it as well. But actually, because Jupiter is retrograde making a trine to it, so something that you already have like opportunity or skills or resources or ideas will help you implement that new idea that comes into your life. So keep this in mind. And something good can happen and positive. That's the birth of some new opportunities regarding your children, or some new opportunities or renewal of romantic life, because this is the 5th house, some romantic experience that you have. That is very enjoyable and pleasant and excitable for you as well. And also 5th house is to have fun, to enjoy yourself, maybe to do some new hobby or some new parties, going out, adventure around that time, shining, being in the center light, being in the spotlight, attracting attention, being more flirtatious, being more magnetic. This is the 5th house, makes you more magnetic, more others want to be around you. You shine like a sun somehow. You can feel quite good towards the end of the month. I would say after the 23rd already, July. And the last most important thing that's happening is that there is a huge conjunction, a very rare one, between Uranus, Mars, and the North Node in your 2nd house, Aries. You're going to probably feel it the whole month, but something new is brewing, and it escalates towards the end of the month, the beginning of the next one. But there is a new beginnings, powerful new beginnings. All 3 planets are planets of something new, might be even a bit shocking, surprising, very sudden, very fast, connected to resources, finances, material matters. Connected 2nd house also rules the family in ancient astrology. So some big shift or change, and you're needing to adapt very quickly in regards to that. Some shocking, surprising developments that are happening there. But it's especially connected to finances, money, resources, and that you might be looking for new sources of income, new sources of food or resources and such matters. And they can develop very fast, out of very, very fast. Out of the blue, it can come in a sense. So that's a very active area for you as well, this material side. On a more spiritual level, the 2nd house is your self-worth. They can be like a huge breakthrough that shakes up your values, your value system, and how valuable you consider yourself, how your self-worth, as they call it. They can be like a big breakthrough, big shakeup. It might be triggered by a crisis situation of some sort, but that makes you reevaluate if you have your business, the prices. So if you have, if you sell your services, how well you value yourself. And it doesn't only need to be self-worth connected to material value. It can be self-worth connected to what you consider yourself worthy to be in your environment. So very, very interesting developments, but I think overall Aries is very protected this month with a lot of positive help from Jupiter and the new moon in Leo. Now, Taurus, Sun, Moon, or Rising, July 2022. This month is very, very active for Tauruses. The huge conjunction of Uranus, Mars, and the North Node is going to happen in your sign. And Mars enters your sign from July the 6th. So this energy, you start feeling it pretty much after the 1st week of July, where it's building up. And all those 3 planets, Uranus, Mars, and the North Node, they have the energy of something new that can happen very fast. And I know Taurus energy doesn't like things to change very fast. They're the most stable sign, the most reliable, but you're being shaken up. And it's been for a while now with the North Node and Uranus in your signs, guys. It's not so new energy, but Mars will escalate it and trigger it even further. And if your Sun is in Taurus, especially around the 18th degree, 1A, where the conjunction is happening, but I would say 5 degrees before, 5 after. You can have, for example, a huge new change in career or direction with your goals and plans in life, with your self-identity, with the important men in your life. All other Tauruses can also feel something similar, but not as intense as those degrees. If your moon is in Taurus, There can be a big shakeup and big change in your environment. Where are you living? Your material circumstances, your emotional connections and relationships. The moon rules all of those things, or with important women in your life, mothers, and so on. Some big new developments, surprising ones. You have to adapt quick. And then it's not necessarily that it's going to be some drama or crisis. It can be something great, but it's very fast moving. You have to be fast. So something, if it's your ascendant, your overall life, it might be even your appearance, it might be your direction in your life, and path in life, again, persona, new beginnings in your life of many different possibilities. I cannot tell specifically for every one of you. But for example, Mars rules your relationships house because it rules the 7th house. Uranus rules for your career as well. So there might be some big development for you, Taurus, connected to partnerships and something very new that comes, some very fated relationships, because the rule of your 7th house is with Rahu, the planet of fated relationships. Some new fated business partnership or relationship that appears, and it might also influence your status, like social status. Uranus rules your career, social status, standing in the world. There might be a new idea that you come up with in regards to your career, in regards to, and that can also influence your relationships, or through another person that kind of shakes up your world around, it surprises you. So on many levels, but it affects you personally, and you personally, somehow a lot of the changes, you're making them and you want to make them because everything is happening in your sign. So you are taking the initiative to act on that. Fascinating. Let's see. For the world it will be, but all eyes are on Taurus. So, or for some of you, it might be that you get an idea to, and some new beginnings start where you can play an important role in the world, because the cycle is quite long. It's at least 10 years long, that what's happening here, until it repeats again. Uranus with North Node, or even longer than that. I think maybe 19 years, sorry. So something new is entering your life that will personally affect you, that you have to be very flexible and open to innovate, to welcome things that you've never done before. Otherwise, you might be forced into such things. But you'll have the drive, the energy. Mars is there in your sign, the motivation to do that. Oh, interesting, guys, you know. And of course, you have to be a bit more careful for accidents and such things around the end of July, the start of August, especially those Tauruses born around 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 degrees, sun, moon, or ascendant, because this is kind of an explosive energy there. If you can be more cautious, but a lot of new things will come, also exciting for you. At the same time, this month, Jupiter is turning retrograde towards the end of the month again, in your 12th house. And that's the house of the subconscious. And it's almost like your subconscious, well, Jupiter almost stays stationary for the whole month and turns retrograde at the end, like your subconscious is stilled. It becomes quieter. And some revelations can emerge in your dream life, or suddenly out of the blue, like they swim out from the bottoms of your subconscious. Certain things from the past you might start remembering, and certain wisdom or truth can you get from the past. You can start being remembered or reminded about that. And because the subconscious is changing direction for you, it's first is getting still, and then it's realizing something, your subconscious. So it might be almost like the opportunity to be released from some kind of vice, because 12th house rules self-sabotaging behaviors like addictions and vices. And also it's quite karmic, where how it's almost like Jupiter can help you get a realization about the karmic patterns that you've been repeating, that act like self-sabotaging for you, or as underwater stones for you. And they can be like a cleansing, because 12th house is a moksha house. Jupiter is a liberation planet. Moksha, liberation, is the same word in Sanskrit. So a liberating planet in a liberating house. So for some of you, you can notice a big reorientation and releasing of certain outdated beliefs, let's say. and beliefs that are kind of embedded almost into your subconscious, and you realizing that you have those beliefs. Many times we don't even realize we have those, and being released from some kind of a burden or some kind of attachment and feeling more free. And almost you might decide to let go of something, but the letting go happens easily. This is Jupiter that is doing the letting go of the 12th house and farewells and goodbyes. Also, it can be like a turnaround in certain developments connected to traveling or faraway places for you, or if you've been trying to do on some spiritual work and connecting to invisible forces, connecting to your high intuition. There can be a change around, or there can be a deepening introversion and seeing more and more things spiritually if you're such kind of person. And they can be the finding out of some secret. Jupiter is turning around, so something can bubble out from the invisible world or from hidden things. 12 houses, invisible things, and it can indicate also some hidden support from someone that you are not aware of that comes to you. So, or certain secrets that appear to you. We talked about that. Okay, and you're going to have I think these are the two big things, basically, Mars and Uranus and the North Node in your sign, Jupiter being retrograde, slowly starting to turn retrograde in your 12th house. Venus is whizzing by. I mean, like none of the other influences, they're very fast, so I don't think it's important to talk about them. And there'll be a new moon happening at the end of the month, which is quite positive one, in your 4th house in Leo, because it will be trined by Jupiter, the great benefic, from the 12th house. So it can be like new beginnings happening in your personal life. The 4th house is connected to family, to place of living, and these will be auspicious. If something gives itself as an opportunity for you, connected to make some changes at home or with family members or in place of living or with land and property, I would say take it, but it comes towards the end of the month. And there can be some new good developments with your family that come, or good news that come from them. And 4th house is also the karmic patterns we carry that are inherited from family. And this new moon allows for renewal day, especially with the trine from Jupiter, with some powerful realization about patterns that you've had that are holding you back, and releasing such and starting on a clean slate. All right, now, Gemini, Sun, Moon, Rising, Tropical Zodiac for July 2022. Gemini, most of the month, Venus till the 19th is in your sign. So till the 19th, you are very well protected by the smaller benefic, the goddess of beauty. And Venus is the planet that gives us external things that we like, external things that give us pleasure and joy. It's either relationships, more enjoyable ones, support from others, good food, the pleasurable music, more money sometimes Venus can bring while it's in your sign. So all of those things, it passes very quickly through your sign. It's a short period, but enjoy it. And also more, you can find yourself becoming more attractive. You can find yourself that you pamper yourself with Venusian things that you don't usually do, like going to a spa or massage or hairdresser or whatever, and it will all go well and you'll be happy with the results if you do such Venusian activities till the 19th of July. If you want to go on a date, Venus says that's a good time till July the 19th. Or if you want to have more romantic or more pleasurable times, or do some things that give you sensual pleasure. And of course, financial transactions can be more beneficial. Buying beautiful clothes or buying valuables of any sort, you'll be happier with them than other times. Then Venus will grace your 2nd house for about 20 days from July the 19th. So it can become good for financial situation, can improve your financial situation after that, or maybe some help or support can come financially, or you can find exactly the right things that you consider valuable for you. Mercury will be, this is your planet, it's very important when it goes. It's going to be in Cancer in your second house from July the 6th. So actually, money is quite a theme for you this month, you know, because later on Venus triggers it, Mercury triggers it from July the 6th to July the 20th, and then Venus enters in the second house. So, but these are two good planets. So for even from the beginning of the month, I think your mind will be a lot on resources, finances, on tangible material things. You can organize these things better while Mercury is there in your second house. You can be more business savvy and more better calculating with anything connected to resources, finances. And then Venus can give you the rewards, like better money after the 19th, or better financial situation, and so on. The other big thing is that Mars is entering from July the 6th, Taurus, which for you is your 12th house. Now, for this, you have to be a bit more careful. Mars there will join another two very intense planets, Uranus and the North Node, at the end of the month and the beginning of August. That is a very rare conjunction. The 12th house is the house of secrets. And this is a very explosive conjunction. Some secrets can come to the surface that kind of shock you, surprise you, that spin your world around. They develop very quickly, or some unexpected development, which is a little bit out of your control. The 12th house is the house where we're not really in full control of the situation, where kind of karmic forces act there, either collective, from the bigger world that affect you, and or such that put in action from past lifetimes or previous actions of yours. So yes, it might be a little bit surprising there, but it's almost like it might feel for some of you not like exact actions that happen, not like exact events, because this is the sign of the subconscious. For some of you, you might feel this turbulent energy in your sleep and dream life. You might start dreaming crazy. I'm sure Gemini had been dreaming a bit crazy already because Uranus and the North Node's been in the 12th house, and maybe even some revelations, some information that like download of information, even in awake state, because the 12th house is the subconscious, and Uranus and Mars and the North Node really like rip through your subconscious and allow the images from the subconscious or from the invisible world or ideas to inundate your consciousness. So you might feel surprised that you're sitting there and suddenly like very new, very different thoughts and ideas come into your mind, almost like you're absorbing them from the invisible world or from your subconscious, and they kind of can shock and turn around your perspective, your deeper beliefs and consciousness level. And that can be like a breaking down, not almost like breaking through old conscious, subconscious patterns, let's say. Some of you might have like a big breakthrough if you're working with a psychologist or something into the past, or even on your own, like something eureka moment, aha, suddenly like a light bulb. I realized, well, I've been having those self-sabotaging behaviors, or those addictions, or those vices. 12th house rules all of those things, and Mars and Uranus, very intervention planet that breaks through the patterns and the stagnation of the subconscious, or the veil of the subconscious. So you kind of get certain answers that are a bit surprising and that turn around such, vices or addictive behaviors, and can even allow for 12th house, the house of letting go, can allow separations and letting go that are quite abrupt, that you're possibly, even if you're not ready for them, they might be like torn apart from the certain things. But it's only so you can be liberated and freed from that area. So your subconscious is having a revolution, very revolutionary energy. For the collective, this can also indicate some kind of revolutions and protests that I spoke at the beginning, but for the subconscious, for you, it's all happening on the subconscious level, either through dreams, through even kind of without doing anything, or some kind of deep realization. And of course, 12th house is expenses. So there might be some sudden expenses that appear as well, but hopefully Venus is holding ground with finances there in your second house. So you can be, you can have more auspicious developments and protection. And 12th house also rules foreign places, faraway places. So there might be some surprising developments or opportunities for something new for you to go live abroad, or some unexpected change happening that's coming to you from a foreign place, or from a foreign or from unknown source, something that was unclear, something that was like almost hidden from you that appears now. 12th house also rules studying anything research or esoteric, and it means deep understanding, the 12th house. So this kind of lightning energy there, Uranus, Rahu, North Node, as I said, it can be like a sudden awareness that comes to you about more hidden, forbidden, or mysterious topics, spiritual topics of any sort. Or you might have a reading with a psychic, or message from the invisible world that, or some kind of a spiritual experience that opens sight for you, or gives you signs, or points you in another direction and surprises you and shocks you in some way. Then another big event that is happening is that Jupiter will be retrograde will be becoming retrograde at the end of the month. Gemini, in your 11th house. Yes, in your 11th house. So 11th house means that maybe it's big projects you might be working on. So something might slow down there and start changing direction. So it needs to be re-examined over the next 3-4 months while Jupiter is retrograde, to be enriched, or to be made, to be worked extra hard on, to be seen from a different perspective. On a more positive note as well, it can indicate that some friend from the past can start returning. And you can notice that from the end of the month, in August and in September after that. But these are good people. These are benevolent people that are coming back to you. There might be also clients that you decide to turn around and start taking care of clients of your best patrons and clients, and grow them, or kind of repurpose your business in some way to reach out those already established connections and monetize them. 11th house is also gains and profits. Things might slow down a little bit there to some extent, but only so you can rethink and reimagine it, how to make something more gainful, more profitable. And when Jupiter turns direct sometime in the autumn, you can become extremely gainful in certain area of your life. Financially, we're talking as well. And Jupiter turning retrograde can mean that you're rethinking some friendships as well, or some social contacts. But because it's a beneficial planet, Jupiter is very auspicious planet, it might mean you're letting go. You might rethink some friendships, but in such a way that they become more beneficial for both of you in the long term, and that they become more authentic and truthful for both of you. But there might be some initial crisis while Jupiter is turning retrograde there, with people in your life, with like-minded or groups or organizations that you belong to. All right, so this is very interesting month with a lot of protection for you, as I said, because of Venus being in your sign for a lot of the time, and a lot of maybe even psychic realizations that can happen for some of you in downloads. And yes, and there is a new moon in July 28th, so towards the end of the month. So the most important things are really happening towards the end of the month. It's quite peaceful in the first 3 weeks, so to speak. And that's happening, a new moon in your 3rd house, so new contacts will be appearing in your life as well. While you're reevaluating some friendships, letting go maybe, or rethinking some belongings to groups and organizations. At the same time, new energy is born in the 3rd house, which is also social house. So you might try to use a new social media, or new marketing tools, or new sales strategy, or new acquaintances can appear. Some important conversations that are auspicious, because this new moon is very good trine Jupiter, can happen. So if you have important conversations, do them after July 28th. You'll be heard. Or if you have important purchases for technology, phones and laptops or cars, do it again after July 28th. after the new moon in your third house trine Jupiter. If you have some trip to do, because third house is for trips, it can be very good, or it can appear that a new trip appears as an opportunity for you after July 28th. All right, now Cancer, Sun, Moon, or Rising, July 2022. This is your month, Cancers. Yes, there is a new moon happening in your sign at the very end of June, the beginning of July. So from the very beginning of July, you have the green light to start new beginnings. And you'll notice a lot of inspirations that are coming to you. If it's your ascendant in Cancer, you might start new beginnings with your physical body and health. Your moon with your family. If it's your sun there, overall renewal of your vitality, your energy is coming back, you're feeling more center stage, you're feeling more energetic, more alive, new beginnings are coming, and you can really, you become center of attention, you're more initiative, goal-getting. Plus Mercury will be joining the sun in your sign from July the 6th. So they might be from July 6th till July the 20th, Mercury and the sun are together there. You can find yourself feeling more skilled. The flow of information will increase, a lot of calls maybe from people, a lot of new acquaintances, meeting, talking, short travels, communicating. Mercury speeds up all those mercurial things in your life. So the flow of information, communication, good for business, good for writing, speaking. If you have any reports to do, any written work, any work that requires your skills or your intelligence, do it around this from the 6th till the 20th of July, while Mercury is in your sign. You'll be more organized, you'll be more communicative, you'll express yourself in better ways, you'd find yourself faster in the mind, lighter on your foot as well, and just more social overall. And then Venus enters your sign from July the 19th. Even though Mercury and the sun will leave it, but Venus will grace you with its presence from July the 19th to the end of the month. So you'll be very protected in that time. Plus, very pleasant experiences start coming to you. Maybe use the Mercury sun energy for work, for career, the first 20 days, for important communications, get things done. But when Venus enters your sign from July the 19th, well, become like Aphrodite, pamper yourself, pleasant holidays can appear. Maybe you can, more romantic experiences, more enjoyment of the five senses. You can become more attractive if you want to do hairstyles or buy new clothes or anything for the beautification of your environment or yourself will come with ease and grace after July the 19th. Plus, you become more magnetic, more attractive. Others are more attractive to you. You become more easygoing, more zen, more forgiving. So if you have some, maybe more dates can happen for you, more ability to enjoy very pleasant things. If you go on a holiday, you would really enjoy the food and all those things while Venus is in your sign the last 10 days and of the month and the first 10, 15 of the next month. So Venus gives you all those good things, Cancers. Then Taurus is very strongly activated. From the 6th of July, from the beginning, Mars enters your 11th house. It's going to be there till the end of the month. And at the end of the month, it will join Uranus and the North Node in your 11th house. So your social area becomes extremely active. These are all very active planets: Mars, Uranus, North Node, Rahu. North Node amplifies, but also explosive. Mars and Uranus towards the end of the month, there can be some exciting, but also encounters that are explosive with other people in your social environment, or you might get very, like some new people entering your life that there's almost like revolution in your friendship circle, in your environment, maybe joining certain groups, whether online or in real life, that are very new, innovative, new, that bring a lot of new ideas into you and that shake your world around, but it comes somehow through other people. And there might be some crisis in relationships with friends, because these are a bit kind of explosive energies there, like aggressive sometimes. Mars with Uranus and Rahu magnifies it. So also be careful for such things. You know, that's the lower manifestation of this. Maybe both can happen. Some really exciting people and long-term projects. The 11th house is your long-term projects, your goals and dreams that you really get activated into following or being initiative on, that you find yourself that you go after goals and projects that are bolder, more daring, very excitable, very collective in some way. Plus, also it can mean that something happens in society collectively in July or the end or August even, that affects a lot your goals and plans, which is the 11th house, your long-term goals and plans, your social environment, your gains and income as well is the 11th house. But you will have to, there might be a new source of gains and incomes that comes. 11th house is also connected to the markets. So there can be some explosive, very sudden energy there, some big changes that you have to very quickly adapt to you know, align to, let's say. Plus the 11th house is income. So a new source of income can come as an idea for you that I'm not saying immediately that you'll do it, but as an idea first it can come. And Mars can make you like start acting on it, but it might take years or months for it to unfold. So very interesting energies, guys. Very interesting, very, and of course, a bit unpredictable. It's a bit hard to predict Uranus and Mars together. Then you have on July the 13th, a full moon. And the full moon is in your 7th house Cancers in Capricorn with Pluto. It can mean that from July the 13th, around those days, there's a lot more focus on your relationship. I know that it's your month, but every time when the sun is in your sign, there's also a full moon in the opposite sign. So while you're becoming something new, being renewed, starting new things, it's also important to pay attention to your relationships and especially to put some boundaries there and to learn the power of no. Maybe your partner will have more power of no, say, with this Capricorn new moon. And especially it's important, some of you might notice that they need to purge because the new moon, the full moon is with Pluto, to purge some toxic influences from others, from partners, business partners, or people that you communicate on one-on-one, that you communicate on one-on-one with, or maybe to put some barriers as well. And there might be some big transformation that is happening in your relationships. In worst case scenario, some power struggle that's happening with another, your partner, business partner, client around that time because of the Pluto involvement. On a best positive case is that intense, very intense psychological experience, deep, intimate psychological experience with another person. It can indicate a little crisis or little power struggle possible in a relationship with others around that time, to be careful of around July 13th. It might be a few days before, a few days after, but you as Cancer specifically very strongly feel it from others. Plus it can mean that you're completing some relationship or contract and letting it go and releasing it, but you come out transformed out of that. It can also mean some transformation happening in the life of your partner as well. Some big or sudden change, change, psychological transformation, or even external one. All right, so there we go, Cancers. Thank you so much. A lot of things happening, but the most important things are, oh, I forgot. Jupiter is turning retrograde as well at the very end of the month, July 29th, in your 10th house. And that for you, Cancer, indicates career. So there can be some, starting from the end of the month, for the next 3-4 months, some old career project coming back to be reworked, or some old boss coming into your life, or some change of wind in your career. So rethinking your career, but having more clarity what it is, that it will clarify over the next 4 months, what is it you want to do. And for some of you, it can mean going back to a previous job or a project that you've been working on that you have to improve, or that you have to put extra efforts on, seeing from a different perspective your, and some kind of a change also in social status that is possible with Jupiter turning retrograde there. And also it can mean dealing with authority figures of some sort, institutions, and maybe things will slow down there a little bit. Maybe they will require a bit extra work, but the final result can be really fantastic, especially in regards to your social standing with authority figures, with institutions, or your career, and your own personal authority, or your vision for your career by the end of Jupiter turning direct in a few months from now. Now, Leo's sun, moon, or rising. Well, we have, I think Leos are quite protected this month, because Jupiter is making a trine to their sign, is in a fire sign. It's in their 9th house, the house of the divine, of luck, of God, you know. So almost like your intuition, your higher mind is protecting you. You almost will feel like you'll be at the right place at the right time. You'll get like intuitive downloads, what is the right thing to say, and the higher perspective, and how to act from a higher moral ground. And this is exactly what makes you lucky, not that by some chance you're lucky. It's this kind of a higher moral grounding and higher perspective that Jupiter in the 9th house is granting you. But Jupiter is becoming slow, almost like doesn't move for the whole month and turns retrograde at the end, which means that your higher mind, there is a shift happening in your higher perspective, in your belief system. The 9th house rules your whole belief system. It's almost like it slows down first, and your perspective on the whole world or your whole life starts to shift in a different direction. And it can help you see things from a very different perspective over the next 4 months while Jupiter is retrograde in your 9th house. Almost like deconstructing your old beliefs, and actually the much more wiser beliefs filtering out in your higher self, in your higher consciousness, that you and it's very expansive having Jupiter in the 9th house, which continues. But during the retrograde period, maybe it's more time to going within about your belief system and learning how and changing them. It's almost like alchemical change that is happening in your perspective about different topics, many topics in your life. So it's allowing you to shift your higher consciousness and your beliefs about certain things this period. So it's kind of internal process. And then when Jupiter turns direct in a few months, in 3-4 months from now, you will be you'll have a much more expanded vision for yourself, much more positive expectations of the future, much more positive attitudes and more truthful attitudes about big matters in your life. And it can be very, very liberating, almost like the work that Jupiter retrograde will want to do, that is to really expand you internally. So after that, you can see huge external expanse when Jupiter turns direct in your circumstances, material and life circumstances. But first, it will be the internal process that's happening that will be very liberating. On another level, the 9th house is matters regarding foreign travel, faraway places. So some of you might have a chance to travel to a place they've been before to, or that they've been wanting to go for a while and planning. And now when Jupiter turns retrograde, you can go there. But it's not something totally new that appears and you travel there. Or it can also indicate some of you can go back to studying something that some wisdom, some knowledge, or some courses or classes that you wanted to study before, that you studied before. You can revise them. Or some of you might be revising and studying for university during this retrograde period, for exams and so on, while others can be really rethinking what they want to study, and they might change like a course of study from one university subject to another. Or say if you're an astrologer, Jupiter retrograde in your 9th house, you might decide to study a different astrology system than before, to revise, like, oh, maybe I should use Western rather than Vedic, or, you know, to re-examine your belief system, your knowledge, your higher knowledge, your knowledge of any sorts. So some of you might be going back to school. For others, it might be going back to working on some project that includes learning, or some project that includes teaching and really developing it, or on some project that involves expansion of the mind in some sort, revisioning your beliefs, revisioning your future, and pre-qualifying of some sort as well. Or there might be some also delay or having to work extra hard on foreign documents and relocation of some sort as well, foreign, you know, something to do with foreign places and visas and so on. Okay, but of course, when Jupiter turns direct, you can get great results. But Jupiter is protecting you from there, from the house of luck. Even when it's moving retrograde, it's a bit more internalized, but still it has very protective energy on you. The big thing is that, of course, the Sun and Mercury are entering your sign at the end of the month. So from July 21st, you're going to start 22nd, 23rd, you're going to start feeling very much more powerful, much more energized. Till that time, you might feel a little bit less so, because the Sun is in your 12th house, Mercury is in your 12th house till July the 20th, the Sun till July 22nd, 23rd. So you might feel a little bit more tired. So it's good to give yourself a break as well, to spend more time alone, or to sleep more if you can, and to go in a faraway country. This is another thing the 12th house rules. Or to be more meditative, more introspective, or just like spend time more like reading and resting and so on. And then Mercury enters your sign from July 20th, the Sun from July 23rd. You come into your power, you feel empowered and energized. Even if your immune system was weaker, it will strengthen after that. You would feel like the roaring lion that you are, whether it's your Sun, Moon, or Ascendant. Renewal is coming. And while Venus is keeping your social life pretty pleasant, Venus will be in your 11th house till July the 19th. So if you want to really feel things to happen easy, you do 11th house things till July 19th, while the other planets are in your 12th house, Mercury and the Sun. So you're feeling a bit more, you know, not so motivated, but good things are coming to you from friends, like get together with friends, so pleasant social exchanges. It can be more gainful financially as well. Venus in the 11th. You can have some pleasant experiences in concerts, or going to lectures, or with like-minded people, because 11th house rules like groups of people. You can also use that time to become more public in a way. The public will accept you in a more positive way, more welcoming, to bring out a product to the public, or in social media to announce something. 11th house also marketing, connecting with clients and so on. Those things go smoothly and hopefully more gainful. Then the other big thing that is happening is that basically it's going to be your 10th house. That's the most powerfully activated. So for, I think, Leo, this month is extremely eventful at the end of the month. The first 3 weeks, sleep more, relax more, meet with friends, more pleasant experiences. But when towards the end of the month, all the most important events are happening then, when Jupiter is turning retrograde in your 9th house. We talked about that, what it means when there is a new moon in Leo on the 28th of July. So that's when you really start coming into your power, but where a lot of new beginnings start. What does it mean? There is a new moon at 5 degrees Leo, especially if you're born around the 26th, 7, 8, 9, 30th of July. You're going to feel very strongly, but all Leos, and that's a very beneficial new moon. So this is when new beginnings start for you. This is when new downloads start happening for you onwards. And oftentimes, if you're Leo Sun, this is when the most important events, you'll notice them around the time of the new moon in your sign, that they'll give you a direction for the next 12 months. And something that you have to pay the most attention for in the next 1 year, you'd notice it around the new moon, or around your birthday if you're a Leo Sun. If you're a Leo Ascendant or Moon, again, there is some kind of a renewal, new opportunities coming to you. With the Leo Moons, more on a personal level, with family, with relationships and emotional matters, but it's positive new things that are coming. While with the Ascendant, it's on your path in life overall. So welcome those new opportunities. They start coming from July 28th for you, and they're positive because of the trine of Jupiter. There's good karma there. They'll unfold easily. And if you want to do something good, do it from the July 29th, July 30th, right after the new moon. You know, just wait till the moon starts becoming visible, and it's gonna flow. But there is another big, huge thing happening at the end of the month, and you can feel it the whole month. I'm quite certain some of you will feel the whole month. That Uranus, North Node, and Mars together in your 10th house, Leos, in Taurus. This is such a rare conjunction. It happens very rarely, those three planets to meet. And all of them carry the energy. It's disruptive energy. It's chaotic, out of the blue. And it's connected to your career, authority figures, institutions, something new that surprises you, but it's also very innovative. It's something very new that's coming to you, especially Leos that are born around 17, 18, 19 degrees. They can feel it very strong. 20 degrees. That's where the conjunction is happening in July, and in August it carries through. So something sudden, maybe for some of you it can mean like suddenly new career, suddenly new, and it can suddenly rise very quickly. Rahu, the North Node, they rise very quickly out of the blue. Some of it can be a shake-up, like the stability of your social status is shaken up, some big surprise happening there, some big fast developments. For some of you, it can be some big surprise or development with institutions or authority figures or father figures. It can be a crisis as well. It's Uranus, Mars. It's unpredictable. It can be something very good, like something very good happening in your life through the career, through new ideas for career, but it can also be connected to one of the parents, you know, that's authority figures, that is surprising or shocking, or that's requires very quick adaptations, also with your social status, with your career, with bosses, and so on. So you have to be adaptable. It's just warning you to know that there is powerful new energies there. Maybe something collectively happens that affects your career as well. So that's very much what it is for you. But again, I think there's a lot of protection for you, no matter what happens to whatever happens with Uranus, Mars, North Node in your 10th house, which is one of the important houses, because of the Jupiter trine to your sign, guys. That's the big protection that is holding you, so you can hold up like on a very higher perspective and react very philosophically and react from a noble point of view. And there is lucky circumstances to help no matter what happens. All right, Virgo, Sun, Moon, or Rising, July 2022. For you, Virgos, let's see. The month there is a few big things that are happening, and they're all happening at the end of the month. So the beginning of the month has quite a few pleasant experiences to say. I think Venus is in your 10th house till July the 19th. So that's beautiful for your work, for your career. If you have any important career projects or important conversations with institutions or bosses, do it then, because they'll be benevolent for you till July the 19th. While Venus is in your career house, your social image will flow better, more positive from others, your work and career overall. And then Venus enters your 11th house from July the 19th, which is great for socializing, for pleasant social exchanges, even for more gains, for becoming more popular and public, pleasant friendships, and so on. Then Mercury is very important. We have to look at Mercury. Mercury is in your 11th house from July the 6th to July the 20th. So, I mean, already friendships triggered for you, meeting with friends, meeting new people. 11th house also business house. It can be very good to work in a team with people. It can be very good for transactions, for marketing, for advertisement and such matters, and for gainfulness. So to organize your social calendar as well, and for working using your organizational skills about long-term goals and wishes. There is no big disruptions or anything like that. And then Venus goes into the 11th house, making it even nicer. Where the big shifts are happening is, first of all, there is a full moon on July the 13th. Maybe this is something you can feel more. Full moon in your 5th house with Pluto. And that can indicate some romantic relationship reaching a next stage for some of you. For others, it can indicate some romantic relationship having to, reach, not being able to reach further on, because full moon is something coming to completion and or coming to the next stage. So for some of you, it can mean like, taking a relationship to the next step. For others, it can mean saying no, especially if there is something toxic in the relationship, in that romantic relationship, because Pluto is involved with that full moon. And Pluto makes us recognize where we're being abused, or where we're being, where there's toxic energy that isn't healthy. And this full moon is asking you, it's going to give you very strong feelings and ability to say no, because it's in Capricorn, the sign that has power to say no and to remove certain toxic energies connected to your relationships with your children, connected to your romantic relationship. And even there might be some, whether you're married or no, in a relationship, some kind of a romantic escalation there. On a most positive note, Pluto can indicate very sensual, steaming date with your partner, very intense, deep, kind of connection. On the low vibration of this, it can indicate some kind of a crisis that happens in your romantic relationships that needs certain boundaries and that needs elimination of certain more extreme behaviors and so on, and paying it attention to that. And fifth house is also creative projects. If you have your own business, it's also related to you because it's your own baby, so to speak. You can be seeing a project, creative project to a completion, for example, or it's also having fun. The fifth house, it can mean putting attention for your Virgos, July the 13th, on such matters, having fun, and or completing creative project, to seeing the results of such. All right, and then the other important things, as I said, they're all happening towards the end of the month, where the first 3 weeks, I think they're pretty nice. But towards the end of the month, you're going to have Jupiter starting to go retrograde. On July 29th, there is retrograde. You can feel it from before that. There is a period of 10-15 days that you can feel this in your 8th house. So there can be a shift in regards to your mutual finances, whether you're married with your partner, or in your 8th house is connected resources that come to you from others, your clients, money, or whatever. You might start revisioning your rebudgeting of mutual finances. So there might be a change in the circumstances of certain investments you have, whether on stock market or in a pension or in a trust fund. There can be some changes there that you start to contemplate and to change. Or there can be some shifts happening with the finances of your partner and with the material circumstances of your partner, that you have to, maybe they can be slowing down, or they can be in something that they might be working on over the next 4 or 5 months, that can change your financial situation with your marriage partner, business partner, or finances that come to you from your clients, for example, something that you will be reworking there. On a more spiritual level, Jupiter going retrograde in your 8th house indicate really deep realizations that can happen over the next 4 months while Jupiter is retrograde, in regards to deep psychological realizations, because the 8th house is a very psychological house. It rules our let's say our internal power struggles. It rules our the things that block us toxically, and our traumas. And Jupiter is a very wisdom bringing planet, and when it retrogrades, it makes you very internal, gives internal power to realize on a deep level some psychological issue and some psychological trauma, to release it, to realize it. Almost you can do it with a psychologist, so it can happen naturally, almost like natural healing of some sort that happens on a very deep cellular level, on a microscopic level, that can transpire into physical healing, spontaneous healings, and so on. But something over the next 4 months, Jupiter will be almost reworking on a deep level in your psychology, reversing effects of trauma and helping you see trauma and let's say, toxic behaviors of yours or others in a different light, from a higher perspective. And going internally will help you do that. And you will go internally and have some deep realizations which release you. Eighth house is a moksha house of liberation, being freed from heavy emotional burdens and being freed from traumas and attachments. And Jupiter can make it much easier for you. While it's retrograde, it will work on those things, those attachments, realize them, release them, and be freer. They can be also deepening of intimacy with someone. The eighth house is kind of very sexual house. And the barriers, if there are certain barriers blocking you to feel intimacy with another person, Jupiter can help you work through on a psychological level over the next 4 months to rework them. There can be also some secret that is coming to the surface. That is, the eighth house is connected to secret, and that you have to rework in your some secret or some surprising or shocking information or development that comes. Unfortunately, eighth house does carry the possibility of some big reversal happening. It is the house of death and betrayals and sudden changes and shocks. But the good news is that even if such thing happens, Jupiter will bring something really good out of it. I don't know, inheritance or releasing of trauma or being liberated from some toxic influence. And Jupiter, the ultimate goal of Jupiter in your ninth house after it's retrograde will be that you'll be emotionally much stronger, deeper, and more powerful psychologically. And like a healthier psychology, healthy and lighter psychology. I remember when Jupiter went retrograde in my eighth house, it was fantastic time. I found out I was pregnant and so on. Eighth house is pregnancies as well. So, and there was a lot of psychological releasing of the past as well. I wish you the best as well. And I was going through a divorce at the same time. Eighth house rules divorces. And it was tumultuous psychologically, but very liberating eventually. All right. And then the other big thing that is happening, and also it can mean some financial resources from outside can come back to you. Maybe some support from another, maybe some loan you've been trying to get, or some mortgage for a while now. Jupiter going retrograde, it can come as a financial opportunity to you, or maybe money or resources from others or past clients can come back for you. And the eventual thing is that after Jupiter passes the retrograde period, is that you find yourself with a lot more financial support from coming outside, from from your business or from other people's resources. And binding forces with others can be very beneficial for you overall for the next few months. Okay, and then the other big huge event is that Uranus is joining with the North Node and Mars, Virgo, in your, in your ninth house. Yeah. And I think there is like a huge shift in your belief system. And this conjunction is happening for almost a whole month. The end, it's happening, and it continues into August. A huge shift in your beliefs. And it can be very sudden, like a sudden realization of something, sudden download of higher perspective, belief system. Some of you might discover a new religion. Some of you might discover astrology. Some of you might start studying something totally new, because all those 3 planets carry the energy of something new. And ninth house is higher knowledge, foreign travel, faraway places, higher perspective, studying something, pre-qualifying. Think about those topics. Imagine something very new, a new belief system, a new perspective, a new breakthrough, a new in your vision for the future. The ninth house is also future, a new, almost like a connection to higher powers. And it's very, Uranus with Rahu. Uranus is a very esoteric, intuitive planet. With Mars, some of you might have downloads, specifically downloads of some kind of ninth house is the house of God and the higher self, connecting with some higher wisdom of some sort, or discovering a suddenly new teacher, or having some even powerful spiritual experiences of some sort, or revelations that come to you from high above. For others, it can mean change of studies, or starting to study something new, or suddenly traveling to a foreign country, be careful around the very end of July and the very start of August if traveling in foreign countries, because it's explosive energy though. There can be some shocks and surprises, but it is, you know, it triggers that house of foreign countries, people from foreign places. Something new and excitable can come to you from people from different states, or very, not someone from a local environment, someone very new and different that kind of changes your perspective, your mind. But it can open an opportunity for you to travel to foreign place, or to connect it to relocations to faraway places, foreign documents, and so on. So fascinating stuff, guys. Thank you so much. Let's continue to the next sign. Libra, Sun, Moon, or Rising, July 2022. Libra, the first 3 weeks of the month are pretty nice because you have till July the 20th, Venus in your 9th house. So it can be a fantastic time if you want to travel abroad, for example. There will be very pleasant experiences, getting to know a different culture, having pleasant experiences with unfamiliar people, not from your local experience, and even great time to study something, to start some project of teaching or studying of some sort. It will be a very pleasant and easy experience. Then Venus moves into your 10th house from July the 19th, and it's going to be positive for your career till the end of the month. It allows for smooth developments with authority figures, with institutions. If you have important, and of course Venus is you, so moving into your 10th house, it will show that your focus will change into more professional development, or into more, your status can improve, your image can improve. Someone in authority position can be beneficial towards you. Some good things can happen with parents or parental figures as well. So these are the nice things. Mercury will be in your 10th house from pretty much the beginning of the month, from July the 6th, and the sun there. So already from the beginning of the month, it's good time to organize your business, your career. If you have important communicative things connected to career and communications of any sort, so using your skills, this will be very auspicious time till around the 20th, actually the whole month, because then Venus moves there. So it's time now to put yourself out in the public eye, because the planets are basically on top of your horoscope, and to be looked at favorably, to organize your business, your career with authority figures, to things to go smoothly in some ways with your work and career project as well. So in that area, I think a lot of the things will be more positive if you're Libra rising in particular, and Sun and Moon as well, not to such big extent, but as well. Then the other big thing that is happening, it starts towards the end of the month. Well, Jupiter is turning retrograde in your 7th house of relationships. And it turns retrograde on the 29th of July, but on pretty much the whole month, it's stationary day in your 7th house. So things can slow down a little bit in relationships with your partnership, but not in a negative way, because it's Jupiter. But there can be some rethinking, starting towards especially the end of the month, starting to shift something in your relationship. Those of you who are in a positive, happy relationships, it can mean that your partner is going through some changes, and your partner it can influence your life as well, because your partner is shifting in a different direction as well, and that directly affects you in some way. And for others that are not in a very happy relationships, it can mean a change of heart that is starting to happen, and seeing your partner from a different perspective, or your partner starting to have some change of heart. But ultimate goal of Jupiter in the 7th house is to, if you're in a good relationship, to strengthen it, to make it even happier, more blissful, more a source of joy. While during its retrograde period for the next 4 months, it will be showing you how to do that exactly, having some deeper revelations with the partner, and deepening of it. While those of you who are in not very good business partnerships or personal relationships, Jupiter wants to liberate you. And that's an easy liberation, where you feel freed rather than a sense of loss, where you feel like, so Jupiter can sometimes, you know, escalate a separation, for example, but it's considered to be a relief. Also, it can mean that people from the past are coming back into your life from the end of the month when Jupiter turns retrograde. And this will be people that can expand your mind, people, or maybe you thought about certain partnership with someone, Jupiter goes retrograde, then you'll be able to make that partnership happen, or some past partner coming back into your life. For some of you, can be to restart the relationship. For others, it can be to be freed from pain that you still carry in regards to that relationship. But not only personal relationship, you can start hearing from people you haven't heard in a while. But I think that you'll be joining and connecting with people that you haven't seen for a while, reconnecting with them from the end of the month more and more, and starting to reevaluate some of your relationships, personal or business, and contacts that you have with others. Then the other big thing that is happening again towards the end of the month is that the North Node, Uranus, and Rahu, Uranus, and Mars will be joining in your 8th house. This is a very rare conjunction of 3 very important planets. And the 8th house is the house of sudden changes, while at the same time, those 3 planets are planets of sudden changes. So they can be something very surprising that happens for some of your Libras, and Libra rising especially, towards the end of the month, the start of August. I hope it's not too negative, because the 8th house sometimes is connected to reversals, death and life and so on, but sometimes it can be some big surprise. 8th house is the gate of death and birth and rebirth. So it can be finding out about the pregnancy for some of you. For others, it can be, you know, also it rules secrets, or sudden secret, or something that shocks you, surprises you, that comes to the surface, that you have to react quickly. And I think you have a lot of protection this month, because both Venus and Jupiter are kind of looking at you with aspects, Jupiter with the opposition, but still it's protecting you. Venus from the 9th house. So even if there is some sudden development that is very surprising, you know, you'll be able to react adequately and more wisely, especially if you look the counsel of someone else and the support of someone else, because Jupiter is helping you from the 7th house. 8th house is connected also to intimacy, and to the sexual connection between 2 people. And those 3 planets, all of them are very sexual. So for some of you, it can be sudden awakening of Kundalini. The erotic energy is actually Kundalini. On a spiritual level, some of you might have some kind of a unexpected opening of the, you know, the channels of communication with the invisible worlds, the chakras. For others, it can be like strong rise of Kundalini energy that is felt like erotic, strong erotic desire of some sort. Even a bit explosive and a bit taboo, because Rahu participates, a bit forbidden. Hopefully, let's say it's revival of the sexual energy in your life. But also the 8th house is house of traumas, and where we store traumas and where we store the pain. And Rahu and Mars, they're like a bomb with knives that explodes. Then I'm not saying that the trauma will explode, but that it can tear through, you know, because we encapsulate traumas. We put it deep into our body, in the cells, in the energy. And it's almost like for it to become, it can be awakened, that trauma to be expelled on the surface. So some of you might experience strange symptoms or strange psychological states, but there's some kind of a cleansing and purging and releasing of kind of stored trauma. Some of you can have deep realizations about traumatic experiences from the past and releasing them, for example. Big psychological breakthroughs, let's say. And it can be triggered by an external event as well. As I said, something sudden, and it might be something collective. On another level, it's the house of mutual finances and resources and investments. If you have something in the stock market and so on, there can be a sudden shift there, something brand new, something some big shift in the let's say in the mutual finances that you have, or finances that are invested in some sort, or anything connected to insurances, inheritances, and taxes. I don't know how it will affect each one of you, but think on those lines, all those themes that I mentioned, and imagine something fast that develops, something surprising, something new, especially. Okay, so let's see which out of those hundreds possibilities it is, or if all of them, I don't know. Then the other big thing that is happening is, oh, I think that's it. Yeah, oh yeah, I forgot, sorry. I'll return you back a little bit, because July the 13th, there is a full moon in your fourth house in with Pluto. So that might be a time around where some power struggles with family members can emerge, or with extended family, where it's good to purge, because Pluto is part of it, and to remove toxic influences and certain things that have been stored, and pains can explode, to be mentioned, to be talked through, and certain barriers might have to be put. The moon is in Capricorn, for you to put certain barriers to more toxic energies, but some big transformation and change can be happening on the family level as well, on the personal life level with family members, and some psychological shifts there as well, or maybe completing something connected to a property, connected to place of living. I hope it's not water damage, because Pluto rules the plumbing system. I hope that's not the new moon. It's like some problems with the full moon with the plumbing, but it's you know, I'm just mentioning a few different options which are possible. Okay, so that's pretty much it. The big event truly is, I think, for you, towards the end of the month, Jupiter going retrograde, and the conjunction that we talked about in the 8th house, and Jupiter in the 7th house. And both 7th and 8th house are connected to relationships somehow, and to partnerships in a sense. So there's a lot of things going on there. So thank you so much. So now, Scorpio, Sun, Moon, or Rising, July 2022. Scorpio, the first 3 weeks of the month are pretty easygoing, I would say. What can I say? I mean, Venus will be in your, where is it? In Gemini, that's your till the 19th. This is your 8th house. I don't know, not from the 19th onwards, Venus goes into your 9th house in Cancer. So that can be a good time to travel from July the 19th onwards. If you want to visit foreign countries or travel, the summer is a great time for that, especially after July the 19th for you. But I think the whole month has this theme of the 9th house for you, because the Sun and Mercury are there till the 20th of July. So it's a good time to study something, higher knowledge, to travel, to pre-qualify if you want, to connect with people that are not from your close environment, but from far away, for example, from a different state, or unfamiliar people, and to have good experiences there. The big events start happening first with the full moon, and the full moon is happening in Capricorn. That's your 3rd house on July the 13th with Pluto. It's a bit explosive in energy. It's a little bit about, there might be some power struggle with words that happens, with relatives, siblings, with friends, that some unsaid things can escalate and be said with Pluto that are a bit emotional. Can be some intense conversations around that time, or with people on social media, or people that you communicate in everyday life. And the goal of this full moon is to purge toxic influences from your social environment, from your daily communications, or with relationships with siblings or relatives or teammates or mates, friends and co-workers and so on. And maybe to put some barriers, because it's in Capricorn after all. And it can also indicate focus on some short travel that's happening as well, that is a bit intense, but maybe transformational. So that's about it. The communication, information that is in the middle of the month, quite intense. Then the really big events are starting to happen at the end of the month, when Jupiter is turning retrograde on July 29th. And Jupiter is going to turn retrograde in Aries. For you, this is your 6th house. So it's not directly affecting you, but still it can indicate that maybe some old work project will come back to you to be redone, to be reworked over the next 3-4 months, or an old work opportunity can come back to you. Maybe you've applied somewhere to a job, you haven't heard from them in a while, and now you hear back. Or maybe you reconnect with old teammates, co-workers to do some project that you've thought for a while, or maybe some work project that you thought about or that you started before comes back for you to redo it or to edit it, to fix it over the next few months to make it better. Also, it's connected to the health, the sixth house, health problems. So maybe some of you might want to revise their health habits starting from the end of the month. And it kind of internalized energy that over the next 3-4 months you will be rethinking how to eat, how to exercise, and shifting your perspective, how to carry on in this life in that direction. And maybe your retrograde planet requires 3 times more effort, so possibly putting more efforts and more wisdom, because Jupiter is the planet of wisdom and knowledge and information in regards to anything connected to nutrition, to health, to working out, delving deeper. This is a retrograde, to delve deeper into such things, to research them and to implement them into your life so they become part of, so it just becomes like a natural routine to you. Usually it feels natural by the time Jupiter turns direct, and to experiment with different ways of approaching your health. And sometimes they can be returning of some health condition that makes you turn your attention and become aware of those things I was talking about, like health routines and supplemental, how you eat and so on. Okay, what else? That's the biggest event though now, is the conjunction of the North Node with Uranus and Rahu. The North Node with Mars and Uranus, and it's all happening in your 7th house. This will be the one you feel the most, Scorpios. And it's probably active the whole month, but towards the end of the month and the start of August, you'll feel it the most, because it directly influences you through your relationships. And especially if you're Scorpio, Sun, Moon, rising around 17, 18, 19, 20 degrees, you're going to feel it the most. But these are the general energies for all of you. All those 3 planets have kind of explosive energy, and they're connected to something new. So it's coming to you through another person. Maybe say your partner can suddenly change. They can have some revelation, or they want to have a big change of their lifestyle, and they shift something in a big way, and that directly influences you, or your business partner, so personal partner, someone very close to you, another person, or someone totally new enters your life that kind of revolutionizes or spins around your world, turns it upside down for some of you, and introduces a lot of new ideas or a lot of new visions or opportunities. And of course, Uranus can have very cutting energy, and so is Mars. So it can even be that you, especially towards the end of the month, the start of August, have some confrontation with others, like in a cutting way. It's like explosive in a sense. So be careful around that time, but something new is coming to you from others, through your partnerships, through relationships. And it's a good idea for you to be open to that, not to be resisting it. It's starting a long cycle, and it's not going to repeat for a lot of time. So even if someone comes and introduces something totally new to you, pay attention, It's, if you want to benefit, there's something new that wants to enter your life through another person. Okay. So yes, that's it. Mars, you're ruled by Mars, and you're quite already, you can feel quite triggered the whole month, because Mars will be, especially towards the end, close to Uranus, close to the North Node. You'd find yourself more active than other times, especially involving other people, business deals, trading, or even any kind of deal signing is the seventh house. And again, such situations can give birth to something new in your life. All right, now we're going to Sagittarius, July 2022, whether it's your sun, moon, or ascendant in Sagittarius. Well, this month starts pleasant, the first 20 days almost. Venus is in your seventh house. This is wonderful for relationships. It will bring smooth relationship, more attractive people, pleasant experiences with others. It can improve your existing relationship or just bring a new one. I mean, not all Sagittarius will be suddenly entering new relationships, but new interactions with others as well, that are pleasant, that are charming. It's good to reach out to your clients if you have such an audience. You can find yourself feeling more popular. You can have more romantic experiences with your loved one. And then Venus will move into your 8th house after July the 19th. And there is a lot going on in your 9th house. From the beginning of the month, the sun is there. Sorry, your 8th house. The sun is there, and Mercury is there from July the 6th, and then Venus from July the 19th enters your 9th house, and that's more house of intimacy, of deeper connection, and private conversations that can happen, some secrets coming to the surface, sharing more intimately with others. Plus, it's other people's resources and finances. Those planets can put focus there, like for your personal resources with your partner, for your business budget with your partner to organize it better, Mercury. And also you can gain more money from others. You can receive support, not only financial, more money from your clients during that period, but you can receive support in some other way from another person. So I would say this month, ask and you will receive. For others, when it comes to others, ask for help from others. Venus in the 7th house, people will be more inclined to help you, to be benevolent to you. And then the planets in the 8th house, they're something that we can receive from others. And they can be positive developments with matters regarding taxes, insurances, inheritances. But the really important events will be happening towards the end of the month. And one of them is that the Jupiter, the planet that rules you, is going to be kind of stationary the whole month almost. So you can notice a bit of a slowing down, like you're slowing down a little bit, and that you're emptying your head a little bit, because Jupiter will turn retrograde after that on July 29th. And you might probably notice that you have some change of perspective, change of point of view. Jupiter will be going retrograde in your 5th house. And over the next 4 months, it can bring past events or past opportunities connected to this 5th house, which means some past love can reconnect with you. For example, 5th house rules romantic relationships. So you can reevaluate and rethink your romantic life with your partner, or get back to old hobbies that you used to enjoy before. Or maybe you wanted always to do something, I don't know, climb a mountain or do some hobby like fixing cars or whatever, but you haven't done it, or you left it for a while. Jupiter going retrograde there can help you get back to such creative project, or to such kind of hobby, or something that makes you feel alive, and dive into it again, to renew it and to breathe in new life into it. So if you're already working on some creative project, it can mean that you have like about 3-4 months ahead to rework it better, to fix it, to see it from a different perspective. Also, 5th house is your children. It can indicate that your children is going through some change in their life, and you have to be there for them, but it's ultimately a positive change because Jupiter is bringing it. Or that your romantic relationship is going through some change to the next level or something. So those 4 months is the adjustment period until it gets to the next level. So yeah, this is how it can play out for you. But ultimately, Jupiter is protecting you the whole time, because it's sending the trine aspect to you. the trine aspect to your sign. So no matter what other big changes are happening, you are protected the whole month while Jupiter is in Aries. And the fifth house is the house of good karma as well. Jupiter going retrograde there, some of you might start seeing, even though it might feel unconnected, but some good things coming to you, and you wonder why, but because of the good deeds you did in a past lifetime or much earlier, because Jupiter retrograde to bring something back to your fifth house, good karma in some way. All right. And things that make you feel alive and excited. The other very big event is the conjunction of Uranus, North Node, and Mars. Three explosive, very rebellious energies, I would call, and very new energy, I would call it. Something very new. All three of them indicate something new. They're happening in your sixth house at the end of July and the start of August. That's a very rare conjunction. And that's about some health habit change in a big way. It can happen very suddenly. For example, you can suddenly stop eating sugar, or you can suddenly start working out, or you can suddenly really change something in your everyday routines that are set there for your work, or how your day runs, or the errands that you have to run. But it will be full of surprises and turns, and your days will not be the normal monotonous days. There'll be a lot of sudden changes there and surprises. Some of it can indicate a new job, a new work project that comes. And it's a bit explosive energy, so there might be some tension with colleagues or in your work environment towards the end of the month, and some shocks, like some new things that have to be incorporated. For others, it can indicate a new project or a new job or a new, we talked health routine. Let's hope it's not some, because sixth house can also indicate health issues, and Uranus, Mars together with the North Node, there might be something that develops very fast and happens very fast, but hopefully finishes very fast as well, something more inflammatory in nature as well. But let's hope it's not that. That's the worst case scenario. But yeah, there is something about your daily routines, about your work environment and work that is sudden, that shifts suddenly and changes a lot. But I think Jupiter protects you from the fifth house. And that for some of you, it protects you, through the good karma that you have, and through your sunny disposition that you normally have. And I think it will continue to be a good time for entertainment, for enjoyment, for anything connected to children, if you want to do this July. And the romantic experiences, especially towards the end of the month, it might be someone that you already know reconnecting with you. So there you go, Sagittarius. Let's see how July goes through you. Write in the comments below. So now we continue into the sign of Capricorn. Capricorn, Sun, Moon, Rising, July 2022. Capricorn, this month there will be a full moon in your sign, like every other July, but this one is special because it's close to Pluto. So the middle of July, around the 13th, the lights are on you. And that's usually, for most Capricorn, a time where they reevaluate things a little bit. And there is, they see results of their past actions. Full moons is to see results, to complete something, or to be even rewarded, to receive the rewards of your past actions. So if you've been working on something, the middle of the month is when you can start seeing it come into fruition. But on another level, you can feel a bit more emotional, especially intense emotions can bubble to the surface. And full moons are about endings as well, and removing things from your life. And because it is with Pluto, it can indicate a focus on you putting boundaries, Capricorn, and removing certain toxic influences from your life that have come to it's time for them to come on an end. So there can be some kind of crisis around this full moon on July the 13th, before or after, not always is on the same day. It might be the 2 weeks after that, where you're putting boundaries and removing toxic things from your life. But otherwise, there's a lot of attention on others because the Sun and Mercury and then Venus are in your seventh house of relationships. But things there are going more easy and more positive with others. That can be great for business partnerships, for connecting to clients the first 19 days while Mercury is organizing your contacts, for important conversations with partners, personal business, to do something together with another person, to call up, such kind of activities, rather than doing it alone, do it with another person because of the Sun and Mercury, the two skilled planets in the seventh house of others. And Venus then moves into your seventh house from the 19th of July till the end of the month and the first part of August. So then relationships will improve more and more. They'll become easy, especially relationships for pleasure, for joy. You can have more romantic time with your partner. You can meet someone. Some of you Capricorns, Capricorn rising, whatever, can have more emotionally satisfying connections with others, with more pleasant, enjoyable people, with more agreeable people after July the 19th. And if you want to have good time with your partner, plan something after that, July the 19th. And of course, I think these are the important things, but the end of the month is when the really important events start happening. The first one is that Jupiter turns retrograde on July 29th, and it turns retrograde in your fourth house. Yes, so there can be a shift starting to happen in your family or home or place of living, or how you feel about those places. You might want to move back somewhere else where you used to live before, or you might want to revisit your place of birth or reconnect with family. Jupiter retrograde is about something coming back into your life, or going back to, in the fourth house, going back to places that you feel like you belong really to, positive reconnection with family. And it can also mean that you decide, I want to expand my house, to change it. So the Jupiter retrograde period is when you're preparing that and working on that. And maybe when Jupiter turns direct in 4 months from now, you'd have a bigger house, or you'd have relocated to a better place. But it's some kind of a preparation time. We're thinking about your roots, where you're living, your family history. You have some deep realizations. Retrograde Jupiter is more introspective about your past, about the karmic patterns, and Jupiter helps you release them because you realize them. Or forgiveness to mother or parents, someone from your childhood, that there is some alchemical healing that is happening there. And some help, even Jupiter retrograde allows you to have positive experiences connected to home, family, properties. Just when it's retrograde, they're more internal than external. And then the other thing that is happening is that Uranus, the North Node, and Mars will meet in your fifth house at the end of July and at the start of August. And so they're making a trine to your sign. They're not disrupting you with a hard aspect, but still this is very new energy. Mars is new, Uranus is new energy, and the North Node is new energy. Something very new can appear in your life. Fifth house is children. Fifth house is romantic partners for some of you. And funny, Venus will be in your seventh house, and your fifth house of romance. Seventh house is relationship, partnership. Fifth house of romance is being triggered. For some of you, can be explosion of feelings, for falling in love suddenly and out of the blue. For others, can be a big shift happening if they're already in a relationship on the romantic level with their partner. For others, it can be a big change happening in the life of their child, if they have a child, or related to children in some way. And fifth house is also creative. And I like Sun and Uranus and Mars. And Rahu, they can be a sudden channeling of creative ideas that come to you toward the end of the month. Capricorns is like a whole downloads that come fully ready into your mind. Or some of you can change your artistic approach. If you have a company, you can have a brilliant idea to change something there. In the worst case scenario, though, this energies can be a bit explosive. So you have to be a bit careful in your romantic life and with children that there is not some explosive developments there, like fights or other kind of crisis. But otherwise, I think because it's making trine to your sign, it's not going to be so destructive as like for some other signs. So thank you so much, guys. Let's see what happens. Write to me below. Now we continue to Aquarius, Sun, Moon, or Rising, July 2022. This month will be one of the months that shakes you up a bit towards the end of the month in particular. The first 3 weeks are quite nice and peaceful. Overall, of course, there can be always exceptions depending on your personal horoscope. But the first month, the first 3 weeks, first there is great focus on your 5th house. Venus will be till the 19th in your 5th house of having fun, enjoyment. Venus loves being there. It's a very romantic house as well, so it's great time if you want to have some romantic, even travel. Venus rules your 9th house of foreign travels. You can even have romantic experiences connected to foreign people, or go somewhere, travel with your partner till then, or just renew, kind of have pleasant experiences. Or even if you're single, you can meet someone. Or the 5th house is your children. Your children can behave better, easygoing, be a source of joy. You can have creative projects that are going and flowing well. You can have more entertainment, fun, and pleasant things in life. While after that, Venus moves into your 6th house. There is a big focus on your 6th house. The whole month, the Sun, Mercury are there till the first 3 weeks of the month, and then Venus enters there as well. So 6th house, it means that you also be focused on work and your responsibilities and duties. You can get a lot done because the planets, they're nice, benevolent planets, Sun, Mercury, and Venus. Work can be a source of, you can be well organized, you can get a lot done. You can be more proficient, you know. So if you have any work duties, do them now, I think. And even if you, I think you will have. So it won't be just pleasures and fun with Venus in the 5th house. There will be quite a few responsibilities, but you'll be kind of breezing through them easily. And then there is a full moon in your 12th house on July the 13th with Pluto. That can be a time to release some and have some deep realizations. Full moon is to realize something, to put a light on something, some deep emotional, psychological realizations about the subconscious patterns you have, about addictions or self-sabotaging behaviors or hidden vices. There can be sometimes even escalation of such behaviors, but also a breakthrough and releasing, because full moon is to realize and release, to let go. So some of you might have some realizations and letting go. Might be a good time for some of you who want to stop some addictive behavior to do that, because the full moon is with Pluto, which very much rules obsessions, and it can help you release, and it can help you, it can be an intense period from the middle of the month or even a little bit before for such kind of releases. And also it can make you very extremely intuitive and more emotional than other times, and extremely intuitive about dangers, because Pluto is there, part of the new moon, or about sometimes even dreams that can give you some insights, or some very intense dreams in which you're reworking certain trauma, or it might be working with a psychologist to release certain trauma that this full moon can be good for. It can be also focused on foreign countries with this 12th house in the middle of the month, or mysteries of any sort, or spiritual experiences, and so on. And then the other big event is that Jupiter is turning retrograde in our 3rd house at the end of the month on July 29th. But first, it's almost stationary, it stops, and the 3rd house rules our thinking. So you can notice that there might be like almost emptying out of your thoughts and being able to keep your mind more still. I know we as Aquarius, anyone who is Aquarius, their mind is constantly going, but Jupiter is a very sattvic, which is like a spiritual planet. And in the 3rd house of thinking, it can help you slow down the thinking and change your perspective. You'll notice that your thinking starts changing about certain matters. Your beliefs on everyday life matter start shifting with Jupiter turning retrograde. And that there is some big first like a quieting down and then a shift, a huge shift of your perspective, of your ideas. And even it can indicate as well on a more material level that from the end of the month and the next 3-4 months, you'll be reconnecting with a lot of people from the past, or you can be restarting something you used to do before that is connected to writing, to speaking, to communicating, to media, to working with associates, or working in a group environment with others. And you might need to collaborate with people on something that has already started, but put extra efforts over the next 3 or 4 months, or something from the past, such project, commercial or intellectual writing or speaking, a learning project that you have to revise, redo, put extra efforts with. And by the end of this, or maybe some skill, some past skill that you have to dig deeper and bring out of your toolkit, you know, and deepen it, become more knowledgeable, study extra deep about something you already know and go deeper into it, or maybe some project connected to media, to internet, to writing, to speaking that you'll go deep into. And Jupiter even retrograde will help it that it's gonna go really well, but with a bit more extra efforts. All right, and also Jupiter going retrograde in your 9th house from the end of the month and August onwards. It can mean going back to countries, or going back to traveling. 3rd house is to travel, to move, going back to places you wanted to go or you've been before too. But of course, there can be some problems with anything 3rd house around the time of Jupiter going retrograde, 29th of July, with communications, with relatives, with siblings. So you can get in touch again with relatives or siblings you haven't seen toward the end of the month, or even from the middle of the month. You can start meeting people that you haven't seen in a while. But you have to be careful just around the 29th about trips, journeys, phones, and such kind of devices for certain more crisis situations. But overall, with Jupiter in your 3rd house, your mind is more positive. I don't know if you've noticed it, but I have noticed it as an Aquarius rising. I've been way more positive than other time, despite of Saturn being in our sign. So there is some, you can see the silver lining in things. But it's good. Jupiter will rewire your mind and your daily communications and activities. And then the other big event that now you feel quite strong is Uranus conjunct the North Node and Mars, quite explosive energy in your 4th house, in our 4th house, especially if you have Sun, Moon, or rising around 18 degrees of Aquarius, 17, 18, 19, 20, they'll be felt very strong. Even if you don't just pay attention, something big change can be happening on the family horizon in your personal life. All those 3 planets have very explosive energy connected to something new. And you are Uranus, and Mars joins you. Mars rules your 10th house of career as well. There can be something new that's happening in your career very fast. That also impacts your personal life directly, your family life, or it can be something very new and sudden that's happening with one of the parents in your life. I hope it's not a crisis, but there's certain developments that can happen, you know, and or with property, with place of living. So the end of the month and July, it can be also more explosive energy where there's more struggle and fighting with family members as well. Just be careful, you know, for accidents and such things around home or with family members. But otherwise, on a more general level, it can mean something new happening there and new decisions being done quite fast. So there you go. And there is a new moon on July 28th. Again, another important event towards the end of the month. That there is a new moon in your 7th house. So new beginnings will come to you in the shape of another person over the next 2 weeks into August. Also, new people can enter your life, not just old people from the past coming with Jupiter retrograde in another social house, but some new energy for new relationship for some of you, for new business partnership, for new collaboration. That will be auspicious. This new moon is trine Jupiter. Take it, it's good, or something good coming into your life through another person or into the life of your partner that is auspicious and something new you can do together or they're going to do that can be more beneficial for both of you. And new clients, new markets, new reaching out to new audience can be like you get a new impetus with this new moon. So there you go. And even though Uranus with North Node and Mars is shaky, it can shake up many things, especially the foundation of life, the family, and it's related to the career axis as well. There is some lovely new moon happening at the same time, so maybe look for support from others as well that will come. And then Pisces, Sun, Moon, or Rising, July 2022. Pisces, there is a big focus on your 5th house this month with Mercury and the Sun, and then Venus from the 19th entering your 5th house. So that will be a month where you can play more, you can have more fun, you can be more childlike, you can even be more adventurous or have more pleasant romantic experiences, especially after July the 19th. If you want to go on a date while Jupiter is in your 5th house from the second part of July, that can be a fantastic time. You can even meet someone that is pleasant. Your children, you can be more active, or there can be some good developments related to such matters. You can be more creative than other times. You can organize your creative field a little bit better as well with Mercury there. More bright ideas. You're more full of ideas than other times, more original than other times. But then we're gonna have a full moon on July the 13th in your 11th house of friendships. It's with Pluto, so it can indicate that you're ending certain relationships, because full moon is to bring something to a fruition, or to end, to complete, especially such that are more toxic. You can remove more toxic people in your social environment or from your social media or whatever. Or others it can mean that there's some power struggle with a friend that escalates, that needs to be paid attention around the 13th, maybe before, maybe after. For others, it can mean the 11th house is also, it can be some deep psychological experience with friends or those in a social environment. Or 11th house also means long-term goals and project, dreams and wishes. And the full moon can show that it's coming, something that you've been working on, it's coming to a fruition, you can see the results of it and, react accordingly to what they are. All right, that's one of the things. Then the really big events that are happening is, first of all, there is a new moon towards the end of the month that's in Leo, that's in your 6th house. So, and it's a very positive new moon. So this, after the 28th of July, there can be a new work opportunity that comes for some of you, because this full moon, this new moon, which means something new, is trine Jupiter, which means that something new, positive can come to you as a work proposition in your work environment, through a colleague, or maybe even in regards to like 6th house rules, doctors, your health routines. You can start a really good health routine that you're very enthusiastic about, because Jupiter is trine it, that you're very excited about, and you're more willing to continue with it long term. So, or you can come across some treatment plan for your health that is full of wisdom and quite appropriate for you. So towards the end of the month and the start of August, watch out for such possibilities. They'll be positive for you. The other big thing that's happening again at the other end of the month is that Jupiter is turning retrograde in Aries. This is your 2nd house. And that can mean that there is a shift starting to happen with your finances and resources. And maybe some old financial opportunities that you thought about or ideas can come back to you for the next 3-4 months or something, to work on them extra hard. Maybe something that you thought about as a financial opportunity or something you consider valuable can be brought back to you, or money that is owed to you can come back to you, valuable things that are owed back to you can come back to you. On a more psychological level, the second house is your self-worth. It can be a period of introspection that over the next 4 months, while Jupiter is retrograde, you really reevaluate the worth that you give yourself, how much your how much do you appraise yourself, and not just for salaries or the pricing of your services, but what do you think is worth your value? And I don't know, like, just think of anything like that. But Jupiter brings you knowledge that is truth. Jupiter is truth, and will help you realize your true value, your true worth. Some events can happen towards the end of the month and over the next 4 months that you are trying to understand it, that is making you see your true worth and value. Okay. Plus, you can start like a process of revising your eating habits and being very enthusiastic about maybe bringing back an old style of eating. Maybe you used to be vegetarian but stopped it, or maybe you stopped meat for a few years and you want to go back to eating it and see, or maybe you want to try an old diet that you used to do, or maybe you want to, something to reevaluate, to change with your eating habits that you're very enthusiastic about Jupiter, that you research with a lot of knowledge, with a lot of excitement as well. And over the next 4 months, you can shift your eating habits in some way, because this is another meaning of the second house. And of course, the new moon is helping with that as well at the end of the month. So that's like they work together. The new moon in your 6th house of health habits, Jupiter in your 2nd house of how you eat, can be a very good time to do something in regards to that. And then the really big event that's happening, Pisces, is Uranus conjunct the North Node and conjunct Mars at the same time, the second part of July and the first part of August. That's a big one. It happens, I don't know when's the last time something like that happened, but once in many years. And it's going to happen in your 3rd house, which is kind of a good house for it to happen, because these 3 planets have very new energy, kind of disruptive even, kind of rebellious. It can be, and the 3rd house is the house of your brain, your mind, your thinking, your communications. So it can mean like a huge shift suddenly in your thinking, in your everyday mind. It can be like an aha moment, and even downloading information a lot. 3rd house is information. There can be a flow of lots of information that might feel overwhelming even, but it kind of breaks you out of your everyday routine and makes you see things from a very different perspective. They have very untraditional, unusual, and rebellious and innovative energy, all of those. It can also mean new friendships that appear. They might be disruptive, they might be a bit crazy, but someone appearing in your life, because 3rd house is social life, that creates a big turnaround in your thinking, in your daily activities. It can also indicate on the more negative scale to be a bit more careful in your communications towards the end of the month and the start of August, because there can be explosions and almost like verbal fights with people around you, with relatives, with siblings, with workmates, and so on. But it's something very new that's coming out. For some of you, it can be sudden opportunity to and desire to study something new. 3rd house is to gain skills and training of some sort. Or if you're a trainer yourself, or if you teach others, it can be like suddenly a new project that appears. It can be like a big download. 3rd house is the house of writing, of speaking. Suddenly some project involving new technologies or very new ideas about writing and speaking can come to you. 3rd house is also communication and social media and internet. Some of you might decide a new website, or a new 3rd house rules self-made wealth through business, suddenly a new business or a new skill you want to learn, and you jump on some new, learning something that, and something new that comes to you as an idea. So that's an excitable energy there. You might be hard a bit to still your mind. Your mind might be full of things happening. Everyday life is busy. Towards the end of July, new meetings, new short travels. And be careful a bit with communication devices. Mars can be, and cars around that time, the last 3 days of July, the first 3 days of August. I would caution you with traveling, because 3rd house is driving and short trips. So it might be too stressful, it might be even dangerous for some of you. And it has to be for a specific horoscope, but otherwise they can be the opportunities to that this triple conjunction unfolds over the next month to, you know, to travel, to have new sorts of communications, new sorts of means of connecting with others, new ideas, new business ideas, new communications, and so on. So there you go. So Jupiter turning retrograde, it's the planet that rules you in your second house. So your mind will become a bit more internal and focus on more the internal value of things and what you consider valuable, what not. While at the same time, you know, this third house makes you so busy on everyday level. So it's kind of with new contacts, with new connections. So a lot happening towards the end of the month. The first part, I think, is quite easygoing. You enjoy it a lot with your fifth house trigger, which is house of good luck as well. It's a house of good karma. So there is a protection there and more fun. And then it gets active and busy towards the end. And with the big shifts and changes there. So thank you very much.